Hey guys, I'm Dr. Bodie in Nyack, New York. Welcome to our practice. I get a lot of questions about dental crowns, and today I'm going to answer the most common questions for you.
Dr. Bodie, what are dental crowns?
What are dental crowns? Dental crowns are more commonly referred to as caps. They cover and protect the teeth. Most often it's after a root canal, but not necessarily. It could be just that you broke a tooth or part of it. It could be that you had a large cavity, but the general idea is a lot of the tooth is broken down or vulnerable, and you need a cap, a crown to cover the entire surface to protect it.
What are alternatives to dental crowns?
What are alternatives to dental crowns? Generally, if we recommend the crown, it's going to be your best option because the tooth is vulnerable and it's likely that the filling would not be adequate. But there are other procedures, such as a relatively new procedure called BioClear, which is bonding that goes around the entire surface of the tooth. So just like a cap, a crown covers the entire structure. We use composite material to cover the whole thing. There's also something called an onlay or inlay, depending on the size and location of it, if the cusp are involved, basically. But that's also ceramic material, just like the crown itself. But instead of cutting down the entire tooth structure, just the damaged, the compromised part of the tooth is replaced with the ceramic material.
What types of dental crowns are there?
What types of dental crowns are there? The old school crown, the crown that's been around for many, many years, was so initially a lot of crowns were actually made of gold. Gold has become a lot less common over the years, partly due to the cost of the gold, but mostly due to the patients now preferring white, natural-looking teeth. So the most common crown today is an all-ceramic crown. Typically, it's made of a material called zirconia, or there's another one called Emax, which is a lithium disilicate, not that you care, material. They're both very strong, very durable. An older crown, still used in some cases, is called a porcelain fused to metal crown. That's the ones where you have metal under the porcelain. The disadvantage of those is oftentimes as time goes by and the gums recede a little bit, you start to see the metal under that crown. So today, ceramic crowns are much more common. There's no metal under them. They're just much more natural looking, much more beautiful.
Is a dental crown necessary after a root canal?
Is a dental crown necessary after a root canal? In most cases, yes. You should get a dental crown if you've had a root canal done, because a root canal makes the tooth brittle. A root canal involves putting in what's called a dental file down the root of the tooth, and obviously that process of repeatedly doing that, plus hollowing it out a little bit, leaves the tooth compromised. So if it's one of the teeth in the back, like a molar or even a premolar, the ones that are involved in crushing things, right? There's a lot of force on them. You want those to be as strong as possible. In those cases, a crown is highly recommended. Front teeth, you can sometimes get away without putting a crown on them. Just depends on how you bite down and your chewing habits and all that.
Can you explain the dental crown procedure?
The dental crown procedure, allow me to explain what it is. So your tooth is reduced. We have to file it down in all dimensions. We have to reduce the height somewhat and the width, all right? Because we want to build it back to the size that it originally was and not bigger than it was. The only way to do that is to reduce it back, then build it back up. So we cut it down slightly. In our office, we take a digital impression. I demonstrated how that is done earlier, or what the machine is with it. It takes a 3D scan, and that scan is then sent to what's called a milling machine, and we make the crowns in office the same day. So you come in, it's just a one visit. You leave with the actual finished crown and not a temporary crown.
Does the dental crown placement hurt?
The dental crown placement does not hurt. If you had a root canal, there's no need to even inject you. There's no need for you to be numb. If you did not have a root canal, then oftentimes we would get you numb and then reduce the tooth, file it down where needed, the height and width, and then place the cap over on top of it.
Are there any consequences for getting a tooth crown?
Are there any consequences for getting a tooth crown? The one somewhat negative in getting a tooth crown is obviously we have to cut the tooth down in size, but it is built back up. And most importantly, the positives of getting a crown far outweigh any negatives. All right, it's much stronger, much more likely to last.
Is it worth putting children's teeth in crowns?
Is it worth putting children's teeth in crowns? Generally, no. This is a case-by-case basis. Generally, if it's a very young child, they would be placed in a temporary crown. Often it's made of stainless steel material. And that's just temporary until it falls out, then it's replaced by the adult teeth. There are a few cases, again, depending on the age of the child, and is it an adult tooth or how far away from full jaw development they are, that we may or may not put a crown on a child.
Do crowns look like normal teeth?
Crowns look a lot like normal teeth, especially with a ceramic crown using the modern materials today. It is usually if it's done well, it's usually very hard for someone to identify that you have a crown, even on the front tooth.
How should I take care of my dental crown?
How should you take care of your dental crowns? So you'd like to treat your dental crowns the same as any other teeth in the mouth, all right? Regular brushing and flossing, be very diligent with it. You may want to invest in a water pick, which essentially power washes between teeth. It's a phenomenal way to get things from building up between them. But yes, just frequent and proper cleaning will keep the crown going for many years.
How long can you expect a dental crown to last?
How long can you expect a dental crown to last? There is no shelf life on these crowns, so I'd hate to promise you forever on anything, but honestly, with good home care and depending on diet and what you're doing, these crowns can and will last you many, many years. I'd say typically a minimum of 5 years in most cases, but again, there are exceptions. There's no shelf life. There's no telling when something can happen to them.
Can you get cavities on crown teeth?
Can you get cavities on crown teeth? Unfortunately, absolutely you can get a cavity on a tooth that has a crown. In fact, your natural teeth are always the best, right? And just as natural teeth are susceptible to decay, to cavities, crowns are even slightly more susceptible because now we have a man-made object sitting on top of your tooth. It's just the weak point of that is where those two things come together: your natural tooth and the man-made object that we now place on top of it. It's much more susceptible to decay than your natural tooth would have been in the first place. But again, with great home care, good brushing, flossing, it's not likely that you will get a cavity under them, but just be aware that you can.
How long can you expect a dental crown to last?
How long can you expect a dental crown to last? Again, there's no shelf life on these things. They can last many, many years. You could get decades of use out of them, but also without proper home care, without good brushing, flossing, and unfortunately, just luck of the draw, bacteria or microscopic organisms, sometimes they can get under a crown and cause a cavity, and there's honestly nothing we can do about that.
Does insurance cover dental crowns?
Insurance will cover, in most cases, some percentage of the cost of a dental crown. We always file all insurance claim for you. We do all insurance research for you. Hopefully that answered all your questions that you have on dental crowns. If you're in need of a crown or any other dental procedure, reach us at 845-358-5110.